For the latest MonsterVerse news updates, visit hybridnetworkyt.com.
What's up, Watchers? Will here with the new verses for you, and this is an interesting one, as we cross universes to have the legendary monster, the MUTO, up against a favorite of mine, the monster Clover, from the Cloverfield film. So, let's get started with physical stats. Clover's height apparently ranges from 240 to 300 feet, one on all fours, but is 350 feet tall when standing upright. It weighs 5,806.04 metric tons, is 1,200 feet long, and 740 feet with arms outstretched in width. The MUTO I'm using for this fight will be the female, as she is larger and closer in size to her combatant. Now, we do know she is about 300 feet tall, but the sources I've looked up don't seem to yet have a length or weight to it, but someone has approximated it and assumed it to be about 175 feet long and weigh about 54,000 metric tons, which is ridiculously heavy by comparison. Now, next up, let's talk about a little bit of personality. Now, Clover at the time of the Cloverfield film was said to be an infant, and essentially the rampage in the city was somewhat of a tantrum in response to being woken up. J.J. Abrams described his state as being confused, disoriented, and irritable, so despite its age, the inexperience was not much of a factor when causing all sorts of wanton destruction. For comparison, the MUTO, as it were, has a standard animal-type behaviors from courtship to the male, pain from laying all of her eggs, and defensiveness to protect her unborn spawn. She even shows rage when seeing her little boyfriend and her eggs have died. So, this ends up being an adult fighting a child, essentially, but both have access to the rage meter when something sets them off. Lastly, we have abilities and weaknesses. Now, Clover does not have that much going for it in terms of abilities, but standard for most monsters, it can withstand injury from bullets, missiles, bombs, and most weaponry without major injury. Its strength and size allows it to knock down buildings, shake and break bridges, and even toss the head of the Statue of Liberty. At the same time, however, it is not entirely invulnerable, as it ended up being killed during the Hammer Down Protocol. Also, its external esophagus may be a weak point as well, which lies, of course, where its stomach should be. With those tendrils, they could be grabbed and ripped out. Although I feel inclined to leave the parasites out of the fight, I think I'll keep them included, as despite them not being a part of the creature's control, they do kind of come with it as a package, and Clover doesn't really have a choice but to coexist with them. On to the MUTO. Her abilities include large stamina, being able to travel long enough to find her mate, find a spot to lay her eggs, and fight Godzilla. She has a pretty standard kaiju durability, as the only thing that really damaged her was Godzilla. She has echolocative abilities, which can be used to find her mate or radiative sources. Rather than a pulse, she has an electromagnetic field she can surround herself in that works similarly to the pulse, and she seems to have no limit on how often she can use it. She has ability for strategy, being able to tag team with her mate against Godzilla, and is immensely strong, being able to claw her way to freedom and throw around Godzilla. Her weaknesses include the lack of protection within her inner mouth, which a direct blast from Godzilla's atomic breath took her out, and her parental instinct makes her more susceptible to giving her eggs more attention than her enemies. So, who do I think that the fight would go to? Well, despite the immense strength and even the bonus boost from the parasites, I would give it to the MUTO. Her durability is frankly much better than Clover, who eventually got destroyed by man-made weapons. Similar to Godzilla's radiative weapons won't have an effect on them really, and that's what we can assume was used against the Clover to kill it. She's much more mature physically, while Clover is just an infant, which kind of makes it unfair, but we don't know what the full monster would look like. Plus her immense strength, that even being able to be a decent match for Godzilla, make her way more threatening. Also, the young Clover is more so throwing a tantrum, but even when reactionary, the MUTO can still strategize somewhat during a fight. But let me know what you think down in the comments below, whether you agree with me or not, and let me know any other videos you would want to see in this series. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Hybrid Network. I'm Will, and I'll see you next time.